sometimes there are situations where no matter how much you apply logic, thinking, and common sense, you still don't have an explanation of what you just witnessed. I am talking about paranormal activity. So, when I am saying paranormal activity, I am not referring to any low effort, crappy Hollywood movies. I am talking about unexplainable events that has happened to me and other members in my own family. I'm gonna start with something that my father told me that happened to him when he was just a small kid. He used to live in a basement. Yes, he was a brave kid. And there was a door in the basement that when it was shut, solid shut, there was no way it was gonna just slide open. But my father told me that no matter how much he closed that door, it always remained open. And one night when he was going to bed, he lay down in his bed and he didn't have any t-shirt or anything on him. He was laying with his back facing the wall, but his back was not touching the wall. Then suddenly he felt very cold, and then he felt on his back very clearly the shape of a hand pressing onto his back and then slowly disappearing. That was the first time my father experienced paranormal activity. Now we're gonna fast forward and I'm gonna talk about the house I grew up in. My parents, they purchased a house on the countryside, and this house was a 18th century old house. And yes, there were strange things happening in that house. We had 2 bathrooms, one right next to each other. And one of these bathrooms was old, and it had a very old and kind of heavy wooden door. When that door was shut, it was solid shut. But then my father, he came home one day and he heard lots of water just psh. He saw that the door was locked. And my father knocked on the door and be like, "Hello, is someone in there?" But he got no response. And then I showed up and he was like, "Were you in there just right now?" "No. I came back home from school just now." And he was like, that's strange. And when he went and checked, there was no sound of any water and the door was unlocked. And this thing happened many times. Somehow that door locked itself from the inside. Lots of water was just spraying from the tap, and then the door unlocked itself. Yeah, that was very strange. Also, my father, he heard sometimes footsteps on the floor. I mean, old houses, they creak. You will hear lots of creaking sounds. That's nothing strange, we heard that all the time. But my father told me that more than once he heard very clear sounding footsteps on the floor. And one time it even passed right by him because he was sitting on a chair in the kitchen, and then he heard footsteps walking past him on the floor. And there was nothing there. And speaking of these footsteps, one Christmas, me and the whole family, we were gathered around a table and we were having dinner. Above us, there was a chandelier. And in this chandelier, we had real burning candles. And suddenly, in the middle of the dinner, we hear a loud thump. Boom! It sounded as if someone was jumping with their 2 feet, like stomping into the floor. Above us was also a second floor, but everyone was downstairs around this table. And everyone heard it because we all looked up on the chandelier. And it turns out that one of the candles in this chandelier was burning out of control. So we extinguished this candle very quickly. But we still do not know what this thumping sound was, because it's really sounded as if someone jumped with their 2 feet onto the floor, just boom! And speaking of more weird sounds, the knocking. This have been going on for quite some time. My father used to hear it during the night. He used to hear it on the side of the house. He used to hear stuff like that. And he usually just ignores it. And one time my brother said to my father, "I wish I could experience something spooky." And that same night, he was up watching TV in the living room. And behind him, there was a window. This window was very far above solid ground, which means that if you're gonna reach that window, you would have to climb on a ladder. And then he hears in the window right behind him. Ever since that day, he never wanted to experience anything paranormal ever again. Last time I made my parents a visit and I decided to sleep over at my parents' house. I was laying in their living room on the floor on a mattress. I was laying down on the floor, surfing on my cell phone. I was not asleep at all. And I did not have my glasses on me because I kept the phone such close to my face anyway. But in the room I was laying in, it was pitch black. Then suddenly, I can see through the archway in the room right next to the living room. I see this very bright white strong light going like this, similar to the same type of light you would see on the headlight of a car. And my first thought was, oh shit, is there a thief in here? Because I thought it was someone having their torch going like this, you know? But then I thought, nah, it's probably just a car or a motorcycle or something. But then I was like, Satanen, there's no windows there. At that area, there are no windows. And outside, there are no roads. There are no parking lots. There is no way a light beam that strong could shine through that area of the house like that. And the next day, I told my father about it. You know what he said? He said, I know, I have seen it as well. And then, the next night, I was staying over because I was still gonna sleep over one more night at my parents' house. Then I decided to sleep on a mattress in a small walk-in closet. And I was laying there on the floor, sound asleep. Then my father asks me the next day, did you knock on that door last night? I told him, of course not. He said, last night I heard someone knocking on the door to the walk-in closet.